Introduction. You want to win? Then start with this: education is not optional, not the kind they hand you in school, not the degrees, not the grades. I'm talking about self-education, the kind that separates the average from the elite. You want to be in the top 1%? Then you better outlearn the 99% every day that you're not feeding your mind, sharpening your thoughts, building your knowledge. You're falling behind. There are people out there grinding right now, reading books while others scroll, studying disciplines while others gossip, investing hours, mastering skills while others binge nonsense. That's who you're up against. And if you're not growing, you're shrinking. Period. Chapter 1. Teen wake up hungry for knowledge. The alarm clock goes off. Most people hit snooze. They roll over, drift back into comfort, into silence, into safety. But not you. You get up not because it's easy, not because you're motivated. You get up because you made a decision. You decided you're not living the average life. You're not walking around numb, disconnected, sleepwalking through your days. You're on a mission, and that mission starts the moment your eyes open. It starts with hunger, a hunger that doesn't fade, a hunger that doesn't settle, a hunger to grow, to learn, to stretch beyond what you were yesterday, because that's what separates those who win from those who watch. Most people wake up hungry for distractions, for dopamine, for entertainment. They reach for their phones before they even stretch. They scroll through lives that aren't theirs, consume content that teaches them nothing, and wonder why they feel empty. You're not built for that. You weren't made to live second-hand. You were built to create, to dominate, to lead. And to do that, you have to wake up every day with a fire in your soul to educate yourself. You see, the game is mental before it's ever physical. The real battle is inside your mind, before you lift the weights, before you run the miles, before you make the moves. You educate. You train your brain to think sharper, to process faster, to focus harder. Because knowledge is power, but only if you're hungry enough to earn it. That's the problem with the world. People want the results, but they hate the process. They want success, but they don't want the suffering that shapes it. You can't be that person. You have to want the grind, crave the struggle, fall in love with the discomfort of growth. Because that discomfort, that's where the greatness lies. Every morning is an opportunity, a test, a question. How bad do you want it? You say you want to change your life. Then prove it. Open a book before you open your feed. Watch a tutorial before you waste time on a TV show. Listen to a podcast that makes you smarter while others are listening to noise that numbs them. Be intentional with your hours. Guard your mornings like your life depends on it. Because it does. The habits you build when the world is still asleep are the ones that decide who you become when it's awake. There's no shortage of information today. We're living in the most connected, educated era in human history. And yet people walk around lost, confused, dependent. Not because they don't have access to knowledge, but because they don't respect it. They don't value it enough to pursue it relentlessly. They don't stay hungry for it. You have to be different. You have to wake up with an obsession to understand more, to see deeper, to sharpen your mind like a weapon. Because it is a weapon, the most powerful one you'll ever carry. And if you don't train it, it turns against you. It sabotages you. It convinces you to settle, to give up, to play small. But a mind that's constantly learning, constantly growing, that mind is unstoppable. And make no mistake, the world is designed to distract you. Everything is fighting for your attention. The ads, the trends, the influencers, the updates, they're engineered to steal your focus and sell it back to you in the form of mediocrity. That's the truth. And if you're not mentally fortified, you'll fall right into it. You'll become another product of the system. But if you educate yourself, daily, aggressively, intentionally, you become immune. You start to see through the nonsense. You stop chasing approval and start chasing mastery. You stop looking outward and start building inward. The hunger to learn is rare, but it's the foundation of every high performer. The world's most dangerous minds, the ones who shake industries, who redefine standards, who change the course of history. They're learners first. They read more books than they post pictures. They study more hours than they celebrate. They value wisdom over likes, discipline over comfort, and curiosity over validation. You think that's a coincidence? You think they got there by accident? No, they got there because they woke up hungry. Hungry to grow, hungry to evolve, hungry to understand things others ignore. And that hunger has to be protected. Because the moment you get comfortable, the moment you stop learning, you start dying. Stagnation is the beginning of decay. The mind at rest becomes the mind at risk. Risk of becoming complacent, risk of becoming soft, risk of falling into the same trap the masses are caught in. Being busy but not productive, being online but not alive, being entertained but not educated. That can't be your story. Not if you want to lead, not if you want to win, not if you want to break through every limitation that's ever held you back. So you wake up and you go to war, not with the world but with yourself. You fight the urge to coast. You fight the pull toward comfort. You fight the voice that says you already know enough, because you don't. There's always more, another level, another insight, another angle. You never arrive, you never graduate from growth. That's the beautiful part. You can always become better, if you're hungry enough to earn it. The most dangerous thing you can do is think you've arrived. That's when the fall begins. Pride leads to stagnation. Arrogance kills progress. Stay humble. Stay hungry. The more you know, the more you should realize how much you don't know. That humility, that's fuel. Use it. Let it drive you deeper into study, deeper into focus, deeper into discipline. While others drift through their mornings, you dominate yours. You schedule your learning. You prioritize your growth. You don't just read casually. You read with purpose. You don't just watch videos. You dissect information. You extract knowledge like it's gold. Because it is. Your mind is your greatest asset. And every single day, you either invest in it or you ignore it. There is no neutral. There is no break. You're either rising or falling. That's why this isn't about motivation. It's about identity. It's about who you are at the core. Are you someone who seeks answers, who studies truth, who grows no matter what? Or are you someone who waits to be told what to think, what to believe, what to follow? Don't ever be that second person. You were made to lead, but you cannot lead if you are not fed. You cannot inspire if you are not equipped. You cannot build if you are not sharp. So feed yourself. Feed your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. Every book you finish, every concept you master, every minute you dedicate to growth, it compounds, it builds momentum. That's what changes your life. That's what separates you from the 99%, not luck, not timing, not talent. Hunger, relentless, unshakable, daily hunger. When you educate yourself every day, you stop waiting, you stop hoping, you take control, you start speaking with clarity, moving with conviction, making decisions not from fear, but from wisdom. And that wisdom stacks, it compounds, it becomes the reason people trust you, follow you, respect you. You become undeniable, because while others waste years chasing trends, you're building a mind that can adapt to anything. You're building mental muscle, strategic thinking, self-reliance. And that's power. So tomorrow morning, when that alarm hits, remember this. You're not getting up just to go through the motions. You're not getting up to blend in. You're not getting up to survive another day. You're getting up to dominate your mind, to feed it, train it, push it. You're getting up to get sharper than you were yesterday. That's the goal. That's the mission. That's the code you live by. Because in a world full of noise, confusion, and distraction, the educated mind stands tall. The hungry mind stays ahead. And the obsessed mind, it wins every single time. Learn like your life depends on it. Learning isn't something you squeeze in when it's convenient. It's not a hobby. It's not a luxury. It's survival. If you're not learning, you're dying. If you're not feeding your mind, someone else is. If you're not taking control of your own education, the world will gladly hand you distractions disguised as knowledge. It's up to you to resist that. It's up to you to take ownership of your mind, your time, your future. Because make no mistake, the person who learns like their life depends on it is the one who wins in the end. You've got to treat learning like oxygen, like fire, like fuel, not something you dabble in, but something you depend on. Every day, every single day, your mind should be soaking up knowledge, challenging assumptions, expanding into new levels of thought. You should be chasing growth like a starving wolf hunts prey, because the future doesn't belong to the informed. It belongs to the obsessed. The people who read like maniacs, study with purpose, analyze every move, and extract lessons from every loss. Those are the ones who stay ahead while others stay confused. You can't walk through life thinking, you'll just figure things out along the way. You don't get better by chance. You don't become great by luck. You grow because you commit. You evolve because you push. You transform because you refuse to stay stagnant. Learning like your life depends on it means you stop treating information casually. You start seeing every book as a potential breakthrough, every podcast as a power source, every experience as a lesson wrapped in discomfort. You stop waiting for school or society or someone else to teach you, and you start teaching yourself. Every day, without permission, without excuses. This isn't about collecting degrees. This isn't about how many facts you can memorize. It's about how sharp your mind becomes under pressure, how adaptable you are when the world shifts, how quickly you can learn, unlearn, and relearn. That's the skill that separates the powerful from the powerless. The ability to evolve, on command, without fear, with discipline. You build that by making learning your religion. You don't skip it. You don't postpone it. You don't outsource it. You live it. You've got to read even when you're tired, study even when it's boring, learn even when it's inconvenient. Because that's what gives you the edge. That's what builds mental endurance. That's what creates clarity when others are panicking. In moments of chaos, the person who has been learning daily doesn't flinch. They've trained for this. They've studied human behavior, systems, leadership, resilience, execution. They've filled their mind with more than motivation. They've fed it tools. That's why they don't break under pressure. They rise, and don't think it's just about success or business. It's deeper than that. Learning is what prepares you for life, for adversity, for loss, for betrayal, for love, for leadership. If you don't study yourself, how will you lead others? If you don't understand your triggers, your mindset, your patterns, how will you break free from what's holding you back? You've got to go beyond the surface. You've got to get uncomfortable. You've got to ask hard questions and search for real answers. That's what self-education demands. Honesty, hunger, and humility. Most people want results but don't want to stretch. They want rewards without risk. But greatness lives on the other side of discomfort. It's hidden in the books people don't read, the truths they ignore, the lessons they avoid. Don't be like them. Be relentless. Be the kind of person who treats every hour as a chance to get sharper. Wake up asking, what can I learn today that moves me forward? Then go get it. Watch the lecture. Take the notes. Challenge your thinking. Apply the knowledge. Don't just consume. Internalize and execute. You need to stop seeking validation and start seeking understanding. The world praises the loud, but it's the deep thinkers who run the show. Be one of them. Study philosophy, psychology, finance, leadership, mindset, health, communication. Learn the game from every angle. Study Fedi Pain. Study resilience. Study people who've done what you're trying to do, and don't just admire them. Reverse engineer them. Break down their moves. Copy their discipline. Steal their structure. Add your own flavor. That's how you become dangerous. Not by dreaming, but by doing the work no one wants to do. You can't fake knowledge. You can't shortcut wisdom. And you sure as hell can't pretend to be sharp when your habits are dull. So sharpen them. Replace your idle time with intentional learning. Use every spare minute to level up. Driving, learn. Walking, learn. Resting, learn. There's no excuse. We live in an age where the world's knowledge is in your pocket. But how you use that access determines your altitude. Waste it on nonsense and you'll stay average. Use it with obsession and you'll become unstoppable. There's a war for your mind. Algorithms want your attention. Companies want your time. Distractions want your peace. But you've got to want clarity, mastery, power, And that only comes through education. Deep, committed, daily education. Don't just aim to be better than the crowd. Aim to be untouchable. To know things they don't. To see moves they can't. To think at a level so elevated, most can't even understand how you operate. That's what happens when you learn like your life depends on it. And understand this. Knowledge changes your identity. The more you learn, the more you realize what's possible, what you're capable of, what you're responsible for. You stop blaming others. You stop waiting for permission. You stop making excuses because you know too much. You've seen too much. You've evolved. That's the real power of learning. It rewires you. It destroys the old you and builds a new one who thinks differently, moves differently, operates like a weapon in a world of amateurs. And let me be clear, there's no end to this path. You don't graduate from growth. You don't master the game and then coast. The second you stop learning is the second you start losing. The second you stop studying is the second someone hungrier starts catching up. So stay sharp, stay a student. No matter how high you climb, keep reading, keep asking questions, keep challenging yourself. The top is not a destination. It's a responsibility, and it demands even more discipline than the bottom ever did. So get obsessed. Treat your mind like it's sacred. Protect it, feed it, train it, push it. Make learning your default. Make it non-negotiable. Build a life around it, because while others are chasing trends, you'll be mastering principles. While they're wasting time, you'll be building skills. While they're lost in noise, you'll be locked in on truth. And in the end, that's what separates the winners from the watchers. You've got to love the grind of learning more than the applause of performing. You've got to crave understanding more than recognition. Because when the cameras are off, when the lights fade, when the world is silent, what you know, what you've built, what you've trained for, that's what lasts. That's what carries. That's what nobody can take from you. So don't wait, don't hope, don't rely on inspiration. Build the habit. Build the system. Build the system. Learn every day like your life depends on it. Because it does. Every lesson, every page, every rep, it's building something inside you. Something the world can't touch. Something unshakable. Something legendary. And if you keep going, keep growing, keep showing up hungry, the world will have no choice but to follow your lead, because knowledge is power. But applied knowledge, that's dominance. Chapter 30. Cut distractions, feed your mind. The world is loud on purpose. It's designed to drown you in noise, so you forget the signal inside yourself. Every ping, every scroll, every blinking notification is a hand reaching for your focus, and most people just hand it over like spare change. They don't even fight. They don't even notice they're being robbed. But you, if you're serious about staying ahead of 99%, must notice everything that siphons your mental energy and cut it without mercy, because distraction is the silent assassin of greatness, slipping in through tiny cracks until it owns your days, your nights, your sense of direction. The first rule of elevating your mind is guarding its gates as if your future depends on it, because it absolutely does. Distractions aren't just digital. They're the people who don't respect your ambition, the conversations that recycle the same complaints, the habits that feel harmless but cost you compound progress. Cut them. Every time you say yes to something mindless, you're saying no to deep work that could sharpen your edge, that could add a new weapon to your arsenal. Time is the most finite asset in your possession, yet people throw it away on entertainment that numbs rather than education that arms. The frightening part is that distraction feels good in the moment. That's why it's potent. It gives quick dopamine, an easy sense of belonging, a false comfort. But that comfort calcifies into regret when you realize the minutes have become months and the months have become years. And you barely moved. To dominate your craft, you have to separate yourself from the culture of constant consumption and step into the culture of disciplined creation. Creation is uncomfortable. You expose yourself to failure and critique. Distraction is comfortable. You spectate behind glass. The question is simply, do you want comfort or do you want control? Control demands you break the addiction cycle, remove social apps from your home screen, Turn off non-essential notifications. Yes, all of them. Move your phone out of reach when you study. Use noise-cancelling headphones and literary playlists instead of algorithmic playlists engineered to shift your mood every 30 seconds. That's how you reclaim pockets of undisturbed thought and stretch them into corridors of high performance. Your brain, like any muscle, adapts to the load you place on it. Feed it cheap stimulation, and it craves more cheap stimulation. Feed it deep knowledge, and it starts to hunger for depth. Imagine the power of spending the first hour of every morning in absolute silence, reading pages that sharpen perspective instead of posts that scatter it. Imagine blocking entire evenings for immersion learning instead of fractured fragments of surface skimming. You'll notice ideas connecting in ways they never did before, insights dropping in like puzzle pieces because your cognitive bandwidth is no longer scrambled. That is the payoff for cutting distractions: a sharper, calmer, faster mind. But understand the paradox: the more focused you become, the more the world will attempt to break that focus. You'll be called antisocial, extreme, even arrogant for prioritizing your mental diet over casual chatter. Accept it. Critics are often the loudest voices in the cheap seats of their own unfinished lives. While they question your intensity, you're building intellectual leverage that multiplies results. And leverage is what separates heavy lifters from feather carriers. When you own your attention, you magnify every action. 5 focused hours can eclipse 50 distracted ones. Compound that advantage daily, and you'll outpace people who once seemed miles ahead. Distraction is also internal. It's the anxious loop of past mistakes, the predictive worry about future outcomes. You cut it with present-moment discipline. Whenever your thoughts drift, redirect them to what you control right now. Breathing deep, taking notes by hand, summarizing what you've learned in your own words. These micro-rituals tether you to the task. Master them until they become default settings. If emotional noise rises, anger, fear, envy, observe it like weather, name it, and let it pass. Emotional intelligence is a filter. It keeps cognitive channels clear for critical thought. Now let's talk about environment. Furniture placement, desktop layout, lighting, even scent. Every detail can either fuel focus or fracture it. Build a sanctuary for concentrated learning. Keep a single notebook open, not 10 browser tabs. Keep a glass of water beside you, not a mound of sugary snacks. Signal to your brain that when you sit in that chair, triviality is forbidden. Over time, you'll condition a reflex: sit, breathe, lock in. 10 minutes into the session, distractions lose their grip because your mind has shifted into flow. Think of your day like a budget. High-yield tasks deserve prime hours. Low-value tasks get leftovers or elimination. Guard your prime hours ferociously. Schedule meetings, errands, and social commitments outside them whenever possible. If someone insists on infringing, negotiate or decline. You are not selfish for honoring your craft. You are strategic. The world is full of people who drain your timetable for their emergencies. You can empathize with their urgency without sacrificing your destiny. A polite, "I'm heads down on a critical project until 11, can we talk after?" is protection, not arrogance. Language matters. Stop saying, "I don't have time." Start saying, "It's not a priority." That shift exposes the truth. If scrolling for 40 minutes is acceptable, but reading a seminal text is not, you've chosen entertainment as a higher priority than excellence. Own that choice or change it. There's no middle ground. Greatness refuses to coexist with excuses. You also need rhythms of renewal. Cutting distractions doesn't mean cutting rest. It means choosing restorative rest over dopamine-draining distraction. Go for a deliberate walk without headphones. Meditate 10 minutes to reset neural circuits. Exercise hard to flush stress chemicals. Real rest multiplies subsequent focus. Fake rest, a blur of low-quality clicks, leaves you drained and guilty, wondering why you can't concentrate the next morning. Audit your evening. Replace passive binge watching with active reflection, journaling, or conversation with someone who elevates your thinking. You'll notice vitality returning like voltage to a grid. Decide what inputs deserve lifetime subscription status. Your mentor's core texts. Keep those channels unrestricted. Everything else is trial access. If an input no longer elevates, cancel it. Brutal, perhaps. Necessary. Absolutely. You are curating the museum of your mind, and wall space is finite. Don't hang pictures that lower the room's tone. Let's address toxic people. Negativity is the ultimate distraction, invisible yet corrosive, subtle yet relentless. Spot it early. If someone constantly belittles ambition, mocks study habits, or ridicules self-discipline, they're not offering perspective. They're defending their comfort zone. Distance yourself. No elaborate confrontation needed, just reduce exposure. Fill that vacancy with networks that discuss ideas, strategies, breakthroughs. People rising together pull you upward far quicker than any solo climb. Technology itself is neutral, your usage is decisive. Turn devices from distraction engines into knowledge turbines. Curate your subscriptions, follow domain experts, set strict screen time quotas. If a platform can't serve learning, set it aside. Remember, ancient scholars traveled continents for a single manuscript. You have whole libraries at your fingertips. Access isn't the barrier. Addiction is. Feed your mind systematically. Create a learning pipeline. Foundational books reread annually, quarterly courses, monthly deep dives, weekly synthesis sessions, daily micro lessons. Track it like athletes track reps. Use spaced repetition to lock key facts into long-term memory. Teach what you learn to reinforce it. Learning compounds only when you revisit, refine, and apply. Otherwise, it evaporates in forgetting curves masked by the illusion of familiarity. Celebrate progress, celebrate complacency. The phrase, "I've earned a break," often precedes a slide back into distraction. Rest deliberately, then re-engage. Momentum loves continuity. When you pause, resume quickly or risk unraveling neural pathways you just forged. Excellence is fragile, guard it. Understand the stakes. In a world where attention powers algorithms, the person who masters focus commands leverage others can't comprehend. They innovate faster, negotiate sharper, execute cleaner. While competitors chase trending topics, you'll anticipate industry shifts because you spent evenings studying root causes instead of headlines. That foresight translates into first-mover advantage, bigger returns, unmatched credibility. It all begins with cutting anything that isn't food for thought. Make a ruthless list tonight. Write every activity, platform, conversation, and habit that steals focus without payout. Rank them by drain level, then slash the top 3 immediately. Yes, immediately, not next week. Create friction, delete apps, cancel subscriptions, move the TV out of the workspace. Replace gaps with pre-planned learning tasks so boredom doesn't drive you back to old habits. Inertia is powerful. Make sure it works in your favor. Expect withdrawal. Distraction like sugar hooks neurochemistry. The first week may feel restless, even empty. Push through. Read heavier books, ones that demand presence. Annotate, summarize, debate them in your head. Each day, the craving for shallow hits weakens. After a month, it disgusts you. Your baseline for stimulation elevates from 30-second clips to 30-page chapters. That's neuroplasticity rewiring under disciplined pressure. You'll notice new silence in your life, pockets where noise once lived. Guard that silence. Creativity blossoms in the empty spaces between thoughts. Let ideas surface. Question them. Sketch them. Some will spark projects that redefine your trajectory. They couldn't reach you before because distraction barricaded the door. Hold yourself publicly accountable if private discipline falters. Share your focus goals with a mastermind group. Post your weekly reading target to a forum committed to growth. Accountability is the amplifier that converts intention into action. It's difficult to regress in full view of people you respect. Cutting distractions doesn't mean allergically avoiding leisure. It means choosing leisure that renews instead of erodes. Quality fiction that stretches imagination. Documentaries that reveal unseen layers of reality. Strategic games that hone pattern recognition. These pursuits enrich cognition. Binge noise corrodes it. Choose accordingly. Look back 6 months from now. If you've truly severed distractions, your vocabulary will be richer, your thinking crystalline, your productivity shocking even yourself. Conversations shift, you drive them deeper, listeners lean in. Projects accelerate, you finish tasks in half the time because there's no mental drag. Confidence spikes, you now trust your word to yourself, the cornerstone of self-respect. Society often equates business with importance, noise with progress, online presence with influence. Reject the shallow metric set. True influence is the quiet competence that commands attention without begging for it. And competence is the child of sustained, focused learning. You won't need to advertise your edge. Results will do it for you. Remember this mantra. If it doesn't feed my mind, it doesn't get my time. Recite it when temptation beckons. Post it above your desk. Tattoo it in your habits until it drives every decision. That mantra is both sword and shield. Sword to cut distraction, shield to guard focus. Most people drift. They allow the river of modern life to sweep them where it will. You build dams, direct current, generate energy. That energy fuels exponential growth, leaving the drifters bewildered at how quickly you advanced. They'll call it talent. They'll call it luck. They'll say you're naturally gifted with discipline. Smile and keep moving. Your secret is simple but not easy. You cut distractions and fed your mind until it became too strong to fail. Now the choice is yours. Keep scrolling or start sculpting. Attend to trivial chatter or architect your legacy. Every moment is a vote for the future you or against it. Cast your votes wisely. The next chapter is waiting, but it only rewards the focused. The rest remain spectators clapping for people who once stood where they still stand. Break that chain. Cut the noise, feed the intellect. Watch your world transform. Chapter 14. Replace entertainment with education. Entertainment is the aesthetic of the masses. It numbs the pain of unrealized potential. It fills the silence that could have birthed ideas. It distracts you from your hunger, your vision, your purpose. But you, if you're serious about rising above the noise, if you're serious about staying ahead of 99% of people, have to make a permanent decision: education over entertainment. Not sometimes. Not when you feel like it, not when everything else is done. Every single day, you choose to build your mind instead of escaping it. Because the truth is this: every minute you spend being entertained is a minute you're not evolving. And in a world where everything changes fast, if you're not evolving, you're becoming obsolete. Most people live for the weekend, for the next binge, for a break from reality. But you don't need a break from reality. You need a strategy to master it. Entertainment is a break. Education is a breakthrough. You don't get paid for how well you consume. You get paid for how well you can think, solve, act, and create. All of that comes from learning, from deliberate, focused, relentless learning. But society trains you early. Seek comfort, chase fun, avoid challenge. They hand you toys, not tools. Shows, not skills. That's the difference between average and elite. One gets high off escape, the other gets sharp from education. You need to be brutal about what you consume. Audit your habits. Track your time. Look at the hours you spend watching shows, endlessly scrolling, trapped in digital loops designed to make you forget how valuable your time is. Replace it. Replace every series with a skill. Replace every binge session with a breakdown of a masterclass. Replace passive watching with active learning. Swap noise for silence, reaction for reflection. You want different results. You need different rituals. Repetition of distraction leads to decay. Repetition of education leads to power. You can't keep feeding your brain garbage and expect to speak, think, and act like a leader. It doesn't work like that. Your mental diet determines your mental capacity, and your capacity decides your ceiling. So if you want to raise your ceiling, raise your standards for what enters your mind. That means filtering every input. That means cutting the entertainment that adds nothing but laughs and replacing it with insights that sharpen, challenge, and elevate you. Not once a week. Every single day. Consistently, relentlessly. Understand this: the brain loves familiarity. If it's used to entertainment, it'll crave it. But if it's trained on learning, it'll crave that too. You have to break the habit loop. Start small if you have to. Replace 30 minutes of Netflix with 30 minutes of reading. Replace background music with an educational podcast. Replace scrolling with note-taking. Stack the small wins, then scale them. What starts as a substitution becomes a lifestyle, and that lifestyle changes your trajectory. There's a reason the top 1% don't spend their nights nuts with endless shows. They're up reading reports, watching lectures, dissecting industry trends, building ideas. Because they know something most people ignore. Every night you choose entertainment, someone else is choosing growth. Every hour you waste watching someone else's dream play out, someone else is building theirs. There is no neutral in life. You're either preparing or you're procrastinating. You're either learning or losing. You're either moving forward or staying stuck. Replacing entertainment with education doesn't mean you never rest. It means you stop using entertainment as a crutch. It means you replace unconscious escape with conscious renewal. True rest is reading something meaningful, walking in silence, journaling your thoughts, reflecting on your progress. That's how you restore energy without losing momentum. That's how you stay in control. Most people wake up tired because they filled their nights with shallow distraction. You'll wake up sharp because you invested your nights in building something permanent, yourself. This isn't just about success. This is about identity. You either see yourself as someone who consumes what's handed to them or someone who creates their own path. Entertainment hands you stories. Education gives you strategies. Entertainment gives you temporary pleasure. Education gives you permanent perspective. Which do you want more? Pleasure or power? Comfort or clarity? Ease or excellence? Every time you choose education, you vote for the version of you that wins, the version of you that's dangerous, the version of you that leaves a legacy. The entertainment industry is a machine built to keep you watching. It's engineered for addiction. Your boredom is monetized. Your attention is harvested. Your time is bought and sold. And unless you take control, you become a passive character in a story you didn't write. Education flips that. It gives you authorship. It gives you tools. It gives you the power to understand how things work, and then bend them in your favor. Every time you learn something new, you increase your leverage. Every book, every course, every mentor you study. These are weapons in a world that rewards those who know more, who do more, who think faster. The most successful people on the planet didn't get there by watching others. They got there by studying, failing, adapting, learning, and applying. They don't just absorb knowledge, they weaponize it. They don't chase validation, they chase mastery. They don't waste time, they invest it. And every minute they spend learning gives them an edge the average person can't even see. That's the edge you need. That's the edge you earn when you replace entertainment with education. You must be ruthless with your time. People will try to pull you into distraction. Friends will call you boring because you're not caught up on the latest show. Coworkers will act like you're too intense because you're using your evenings to learn instead of unwind. Let them talk. Their words don't build your future. Your focus does. And eventually, those same people will ask how you did it, how you got so sharp, how you moved ahead, how you stayed so focused when everyone else drifted, and you'll know the answer. You made a decision. You replaced the easy path with the right one. You chose to grow when everyone else chose to escape. You have 24 hours like everyone else. The difference is how you use them. The difference is what you value. Every day is a test. Every night is a fork in the road. Do you escape or do you evolve? Do you consume or do you create? Do you chase fun or do you chase freedom? That decision compounds. One night becomes 1 week. 1 week becomes a month becomes a mindset becomes your destiny. If you're serious about rising, this isn't optional. This is mandatory. You can't have a champion's results with a consumer's habits. You can't expect high-level thinking if you constantly feed your mind low-level content. You can't build a legacy if your daily schedule is filled with triviality. So rebuild it. Replace the filler with fire. Replace fluff with fundamentals. Replace reaction with reflection. You'll feel it immediately. Your thoughts get clearer, your speech gets sharper, your confidence gets stronger, because education builds identity. It builds certainty. It builds resilience. There will be resistance at first. Your brain will scream for the easy hit of entertainment. It will argue, negotiate, whine. Ignore it. Discipline it, starve the craving, feed the hunger, train yourself to love growth more than comfort. Once your brain adapts, education won't be a chore. It will be your addiction. You'll crave books like others crave junk food. You'll crave learning like others crave escape. And once you hit that point, you are untouchable. You're not trying to be slightly better than average. You're building a mind that can't be ignored. That doesn't happen by accident. That doesn't happen by osmosis. That happens by obsession. Obsession with growth. Obsession with learning. Obsession with becoming the version of you who doesn't need approval, distraction, or entertainment to feel alive. You're alive because you're building. You're alive because you're learning. You're alive because you've decided to master life instead of merely surviving it. So make the swap. Every day. No excuses. Replace the scrolling with study. Replace the show with a seminar. Replace the feed with a book. Stack those replacements until your entire lifestyle is built on intention. And when you look back 6 months, a year, 5 years from now, you'll be stunned at how far you've come. Not because you got lucky, but because you cut what was easy and chose what was necessary. Your future is shaped in these quiet decisions. No audience. No applause. Just you and your discipline. You and your learning. You and your standard. So raise it. Live it. Protect it. And the world will have no choice but to follow your lead. You are not average, so stop living like it. Turn off the noise. Pick up the tools and get to work. Replace entertainment with education. Every single day. Chapter 50. Read relentlessly. Think independently. The average person reads to pass time. The uncommon person reads to own time. The rare few read not for entertainment, not for status, but for war. To prepare their minds, sharpen their judgment, and weaponize their thinking. If you want to break free from mediocrity, if you want to rise into the top 1%, you must make reading a non-negotiable ritual, and not just reading casually. You need to read relentlessly, aggressively, intentionally, daily, because every single page you consume is a step forward in the evolution of your mind. Every book is a battlefield, and the reward is power. Mental power. Strategic power. Creative power, the kind of power that cannot be faked and cannot be stolen. But reading alone is not enough. You have to go deeper. You have to think for yourself. The masses absorb opinions. They adopt worldviews without investigation. They echo beliefs without questioning them. That is intellectual laziness. That is mental slavery. The ones who lead, the ones who build empires, the ones who reshape reality, they think independently. They read to fuel their own original thought. They don't just absorb, they challenge, they interpret, they apply. They don't take every author as gospel. They weigh, dissect, debate, because they understand that reading is not about memorizing facts. It's about forging a mind that can lexity without panic. When you read relentlessly, you become dangerous. Why? Because while others are drowning in opinions, you've built a reservoir of principles. While others are parroting headlines, you've internalized frameworks. While others are emotionally reactive, you're strategically proactive. You don't just respond to life, you anticipate it, because you've read the history, studied the failures, analyzed the patterns, and when chaos strikes, your mind doesn't freeze. It calculates, it adapts, it executes. The habit must be daily. No exceptions. You eat daily, you breathe daily. Why would you not read daily? It's fuel for your brain. It's oxygen for your thinking. Set a minimum. 10 pages, 1 chapter, 1 hour. Whatever it is, lock it in. Put it on your calendar like a non-negotiable meeting. Mornings, evenings, commutes, stack reading into your routine until it becomes automatic. Not a task. A trait. And don't just read what's trending. Read what's timeless. Read what's dense. Read what makes you stop mid-sentence and rethink your assumptions. Read beyond your comfort zone. If all you read is what confirms what you already think, you're not learning, you're reinforcing your bubble. Step into the uncomfortable. Read opposing views. Read disciplines outside your field. Read biographies of the dead, theories of the obscure, and ideas that scare you. That's how you build mental muscle. That's how you grow past the limits you didn't even know you had. The problem today is that most people read with no depth. They skim, they scroll. They think knowledge is found in Instagram quotes and Twitter threads. It's not. Real knowledge is found in the struggle to comprehend. It's found in rereading the same paragraph 5 times because it's dense and challenging. It's found in taking notes, wrestling with ideas, applying concepts to your own life. Passive reading is a waste of time. Active reading, where you engage, reflect, question, is where the transformation happens. Highlight passages, write margins, notes, keep a journal of your takeaways, summarize the book in your own words, argue with the author. Ask yourself, what can I extract from this that changes the way I live? Because if you're reading and it's not changing how you operate, then you're not really reading. You're just grazing. This isn't about volume. It's about depth. One book read deeply is more valuable than 20 skimmed and forgotten. And here's the twist. When you read relentlessly, you'll start to see what others can't. You'll start connecting dots that others miss. You'll predict outcomes, see angles, spot trends, and understand people on a deeper level. Because reading doesn't just inform you, it transforms you. It doesn't just fill your mind, it sharpens your intuition. The more you read, the better you think. The better you think, the better you move. And the better you move, the more you win. Thinking independently is the next level. It's the art of keeping your mind sovereign in a world built on manipulation. The media will try to tell you what to think. Institutions will try to tell you what's possible. People will try to tell you what's realistic. But if you've trained your mind through relentless reading, you won't fall for it. You'll have your own filter, your own compass, your own standard. You won't chase trends. You'll build your own lane. You won't follow blindly. You'll lead boldly. That's what happens when you think independently. You become unshakable. You'll start noticing how rare true independent thinkers are. Most people outsource their thinking. They consume whatever is popular. They live in echo chambers. But not you. You've trained your mind to ask better questions. You've built the patience to analyze before reacting. You've read enough to know that history repeats, and that most noise is just recycled fear. So while others panic, you stay poised. While others follow, you forge ahead. That's the real reward of reading relentlessly and thinking independently. You develop mental sovereignty. Don't confuse this with arrogance. Independent thinking is not about being contrarian for the sake of it. It's about being rooted in clarity. It's about having the discipline to hold multiple perspectives and the courage to land on your own. It's about staying open to truth, no matter where it comes from, but refusing to be swayed without reason. And that level of clarity, of internal certainty, is rare. It's magnetic. People can feel it. They respect it, because in a world of followers, a real thinker stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. Reading relentlessly builds your arsenal. Thinking independently gives you direction. Together they create mental mastery. That's your real edge in life. Not connections, not charisma, but a mind so well-read and so self-led that no external force can knock it off course. That's what you're building. Every page, every hour, every decision to choose books over noise, silence over distraction, truth over popularity, that's the process. That's the work. You don't need to read for hours a day to make a shift. You need to read with intention. Even 30 minutes of deep, undistracted focus can shift your entire day. It's not about quantity. It's about energy. Put your full presence into those pages. No phone, no background noise, no passive skimming. Treat it like you're mining for gold, because you are. One insight can change your business. One sentence can unlock your mindset. One story can shift your perspective for life. But you'll miss it if you treat reading like a chore. Create your personal reading system. Know what you're reading, why you're reading it, and what you're doing with the information. Build your personal library of mental weapons. Books that shaped your values, molded your strategy, taught you how to move differently. Revisit them. Annotate them. Teach them. The repetition will deepen the wiring. You're not just reading to know more, you're reading to become more. There are no shortcuts to this. You don't get the benefits of deep thinking with shallow habits. You don't build independent thought from lazy consumption. This is earned every day, through discipline, through repetition, through refusing to settle for average ideas and adopting excellence as your intellectual standard. Most people are content with knowing just enough to get by. You are committed to knowing so much that you become undeniable. And when you do this long enough, your voice will change. Your confidence will radiate because you'll speak from substance. You won't need scripts, you won't need notes, you'll have depth. And depth doesn't lie. People feel it. They lean in. They trust you because they can sense the hours behind the words, the hunger behind the wisdom, the fire behind the clarity. That's the edge. That's the difference. That's why you read relentlessly and think independently, so you become a force, a strategist, a leader. Not in title but in mind. Not by position, but by preparation. Because in the end, it's not the loudest who lead. It's the ones who've built the deepest minds. And that kind of mind is not bought. It's built. So read every day, relentlessly and freely, independently, unapologetically, because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs you fully armed, fully awake, fully alive. Chapter 60, Study Success. Not social media. Most people scroll through social media like it's a reflex. They don't think about what it's doing to their minds. They don't question what it's replacing. They don't understand that every second they spend studying the curated highlight reels of others is a second. They're not studying success. Real success. Measured success. Documented success. Strategic, replicable success. Social media doesn't teach you how to think. It teaches you how to compare. It doesn't feed your ambition, it distracts it. If you want to be great, if you want to rise above the masses and step into the top 1%, then stop studying social media and start studying success. What does that mean? It means stop scrolling and start observing. Stop reacting and start researching. Social media shows you the outcome, never the process. The house, not the foundation, the body, not the training, the luxury, not the discipline. And most people confuse that surface-level exposure with education. It's not. Watching a millionaire flash their car is not the same as understanding how they built their portfolio. Seeing someone fit on a reel doesn't teach you about nutrition, sleep cycles, or consistency. Stop confusing dopamine hits with knowledge. You want to study success. Study people's habits. Study their schedules. Study their books. Study their failures. Study their resilience. Study what they sacrificed, what they repeated, what they mastered. Success leaves clues, but those clues are hidden in the boring, unsexy, non-viral parts of the journey, and unless you dig deep, you'll miss them. Most of what's on your feed is performance, not principle. It's designed to impress, not to teach. It's designed to hook your attention, not to improve your life. Social media is a marketplace of comparison. Success is a blueprint of principles. One leaves you chasing trends. The other makes you timeless. But here's the hard truth. Your brain is being rewired every time you open that app. Every swipe, every like, every video. It's reshaping your attention span, your focus, your confidence, your sense of progress. You start believing you're behind, that you're late, that you're not doing enough. That's not inspiration. That's insecurity. And when you operate from that mental state, you stop building. You start watching, and that's how you fall behind without even realizing it. You have to reprogram your habits. Replace 30 minutes of scrolling with 30 minutes of reading a founder's biography. Replace YouTube vlogs with business case studies. Replace shallow advice clips with full-length lectures from people with credentials, with scars, with receipts. Social media is loud. Success is quiet. You have to go looking for it. You have to chase it down. You have to turn off the noise and tune into the signals that actually grow you. If someone's advice fits in a 7-second reel, be cautious. Wisdom is rarely that short. Real strategy is layered, nuanced, complex. It requires thinking, context, and analysis. Social media skips all that. It gives you feel, good quotes, and shallow motivation. But that won't build your business. That won't change your mindset. That won't sustain you when life punches you in the gut. What will? A deep understanding of how winners think, how they prepare, how they rebound, and you only get that by studying success, not entertainment. What does studying success actually look like? It looks like waking up early and reading 50 pages on leadership, even when you're tired. It looks like analyzing how Elon Musk makes decisions, how Warren Buffett reads, how Kobe Bryant trained. It looks like taking notes during podcasts instead of just listening for hype. It looks like breaking down a company's rise and fall and extracting the lessons from both. It looks like taking what works and building your own system with it. You're not here to be a fan, you're here to be a force. Fans obsess over people, forces obsess over principles. Fans want to be entertained, forces want to execute. You want to win, then stop watching everybody else win. Put your phone down and pick your mind up. Look around. How many hours are leaking out of your life through scrolling? How many of those hours could have been used to sharpen a skill, build a plan, write a vision, execute? Most people spend more time refreshing their feed than refreshing their goals. That's the disconnect, and it's keeping them broke, stuck, and distracted. Understand this: social media is not evil, it's a tool. But if you don't control the tool controls you. Use it strategically. Curate your feed like your life depends on it, because it does. Follow builders, not entertainers. Follow teachers, not attention seekers. Follow people who talk less and do more. Audit every account you follow. Ask yourself, does this person make me smarter, sharper, more focused? If not, unfollow. Without guilt, without apology. Protect your mind like it's a fortress, because it is. The moment you detox your digital environment, something shifts. Your mind clears, your focus strengthens, your creativity returns. You stop comparing and start building. You stop doubting and start doing. You stop craving what others have and start crafting your own lane. And once you taste that kind of mental clarity, you'll never go back to the feed. Because nothing there can compete with the feeling of being in control of your own evolution. If you're serious about your growth, you need a system. You need a content diet that fuels your mission. Make a list right now. 5 people who've mastered what you're trying to master. Business, fitness, leadership, finance, mindset. Study them. Read their books. Watch their long-form content. Reverse engineer their results. Don't just admire, analyze. Don't just celebrate their wins. Deconstruct them. That's how you build mental leverage. You should have notebooks filled with strategies, lessons, observations. You should have mind maps on your walls, goals on your mirror, milestones in your calendar. While others are memorizing dances, you're memorizing moves that shift your future. While they're watching strangers' lives, you're constructing your own legacy. That's how you get ahead. Quietly. Relentlessly. With focus, action feels like poison. The algorithm wants you weak. It wants you passive. It wants you consuming, not creating. Why? Because weak people buy more, fearful people obey more, confused people depend more. But the minute you unplug from that matrix, you become powerful. You become sovereign. You become the kind of person who doesn't need a daily dose of dopamine to feel good. You're too busy building something that matters. And listen, success is not a vibe, it's a system. It's built on boring, repeatable, daily actions that the average person avoids because it's not exciting enough. It's not flashy. It's not viral, but it works. That's what you need to study. Not the cars, not the jets, not the selfies from fake gurus. Study the foundation. Study what they were doing 5 years ago, not what they're flaunting now. Study what they built when nobody was watching. That's where the real gold is. You want confidence? Build competence. You want competence? Study excellence. You want excellence? Study success. Documented, principled, boring success. Then replicate, adapt, apply. You don't need more motivation. You need more information, more structure, more strategy. That comes from books, mentors, lectures, trials, failures, and reflection. Not from watching people dance on TikTok or flex on Instagram. If you spend more time watching influencers than you do watching your own progress, you're already behind. Fix it. Start today. Create a rule. No social media until 2 hours of learning is done. No phone before reading 20 pages. No scrolling until your goals are reviewed. Be militant. You have to out-discipline the distractions. That's the price of focus in a world addicted to noise. Success is not complicated. It's just hidden under layers of digital junk, fake gurus, and endless distraction. Clear the layers, cut the noise, and deep into books, deep into disciplines, deep into your craft. When you do, something magical happens. You start thinking differently, moving differently. You stop following trends and start making them. You stop doubting and start dominating. Because when your mind is fed with the truth, Lies can't survive. When your mind is built on principles, fads can't shake it. You don't need to be everywhere. You don't need to be popular. You need to be effective. You need to be sharp. You need to be prepared. That comes from choosing study over scroll, real over hype, mastery over motion, focus over fame. That comes from choosing again and again to study success, not social media. So decide, right now, will you be a watcher or a weapon? Will you chase attention or chase growth? Will you scroll your life away or shape your destiny with discipline? Every time you open that app, you're making a choice. Choose wisely. Study success, because the feed won't save you, but the right knowledge, it'll change everything. Chapter 7. Create a self-education system. You will never outgrow the need to educate yourself. Not if you want to dominate. Not if you want to stand out in a world that worships mediocrity. The school system ends, but the real education, that's your responsibility for life. And the truth is this: the people who stay ahead are not the most talented, not the most talented, not the most lucky. They are the most self-educated. They don't wait for a teacher. They don't rely on institutions. They don't need permission. They build their own system. They take the power into their own hands and create a process that turns them into an unstoppable machine of learning, evolving, and executing. Without a system, you're reacting. With a system, you're growing. Most people learn randomly. A little here, a little there. No structure, no method, no target. They read a book because it's trending. They watch a video because it plopped up in their feed. That's not education, that's consumption. It has no depth, no sequence, no retention. And if you're not retaining what you're learning, you're not leveling up. You're just entertaining your brain for a few moments and forgetting it later. That's not how the elite operate. The elite move with strategy. They build systems. A self-education system starts with clarity. What exactly do you want to master? What skill? What topic? What domain do you want to dominate? You don't need 100 goals. You need one target, with laser precision. Most people fail not because they're lazy, but because they're scattered. Their learning is fragmented. Yours needs to be focused. Define your goal in brutal detail. Don't say, I want to learn business. Say, I want to master marketing funnels, ad psychology, and revenue optimization. That level of clarity lets you reverse engineer the path. You can't build a system without a destination. Once your goal is clear, you build your learning pillars. Think of them like categories. Major areas you must understand to dominate that field. If you want to master business, your pillars might be marketing, sales, systems, mindset, and leadership. If you want to master fitness, your pillars might be training, nutrition, recovery, psychology, and performance data. Choose your pillars wisely. This is the foundation of your system. Now, for each pillar, assign core materials. Books, courses, podcasts, documentaries, studies, not fluff. Not viral content, but real dense, proven resources. Create a curriculum like a university would, but tailor it for yourself. Stack it month by month, week by week. You're the dean of your own success. Treat it like that. No excuses, no waiting, no gaps. Then schedule it. Put your learning on the calendar. Make it real. Treat it like a meeting with your future, because that's what it is. If it's not scheduled, it doesn't happen. Make it daily. An hour in the morning, an hour before bed, a lesson over lunch. Momentum comes from consistency, not from intensity once a week. Make it a ritual. You don't negotiate with it. You don't delay it. You don't trade it for temporary pleasure. This is your discipline, your edge, your private arena where you sharpen the blade. And here's what separates the pretenders from the real ones: active learning. Don't just read, don't just watch. Write it down, teach it, summarize it, apply it immediately. When you learn something, force yourself to create from it. A note, a post, a conversation, a decision. Learning that sits in your brain and doesn't get used will die. Learning that gets transformed into action becomes embedded. That's how you build real power. You turn knowledge into habit. You turn habit into identity. You need tracking. Without tracking, your system is fragile. Create a tracker, a spreadsheet, a journal, a board. Log your hours, log your takeaways, log your application. Review it weekly. What did I learn this week? How did I apply it? What questions do I still have? What's next? That reflection is how you deepen your understanding. It's how you prevent shallow knowledge from dominating your brain. Because the world is full of people who know a little bit about a lot, but still loose. You want to know a lot about the right things and win. Build in review cycles. Once a month, review your top takeaways. Once a quarter, reread your favorite book. Once a week, teach something you've learned to someone else. Your system should be tight, repetitive, focused, not wide and shallow, narrow and deep. That's how you become elite. That's how you go from knowing things to owning them. You must also measure ROI, return on information. If you're learning and not getting results, something is broken. Are you choosing the wrong materials? Are you applying inconsistently? Are you learning but not reflecting? Are you too passive? Fix the system. Optimize it. Education without transformation is a waste. Every book you read, every podcast you finish should make you move differently, speak differently, decide differently. If it doesn't, it's noise. Now let's talk about environment. A self-education system doesn't live in chaos. It thrives in a focused zone. Build a space for learning, a reading chair, a study desk, a whiteboard, a quiet corner. Signal to your brain that this is where elevation happens. Keep distractions out. Put your goals in front of you. Keep a physical reminder of your purpose close. This is your temple. Treat it with reverence. Your system also needs constraints. You're not trying to consume everything. You're trying to consume what matters. Set boundaries. One course at a time. One book per topic. Don't let your ambition become a distraction. Finish what you start. Go deep. Master it. Then move on. Most people confuse speed with progress. You want mastery. That takes repetition time. That takes discipline to stay the course. Build rewards into your system. Celebrate consistency. Finish a book. Reflect and reward yourself. Complete a course. Teach the core ideas to someone else. Your brain responds to closure, to completion. It craves progress. Let it see that it's working, that the system is moving you forward. Small wins compound into big results. Mentorship is a powerful addition. Your system should include people smarter than you. Books are mentors. Podcasts are mentors. But real people. They accelerate your learning. Identify 3 to 5 people in your space who are ahead of you. Follow them. Study them. Engage if possible. Ask questions. Offer value. Respect their time. Let their insights fill the gaps your solo learning can't. They've made mistakes. You don't need to rip. One conversation can be worth 10 books if it's with the right person. You also need to protect your mindset. Because as you grow through self-education, others won't understand. They'll question your intensity. They'll mock your structure. They'll ask, "Why are you so serious?" Smile and keep going. You're not like them. You've chosen a different path. You've chosen to self-educate because you refuse to be average. You refuse to be owned by systems that fail most people. You've chosen sovereignty. And here's the final layer: evolution. Your system must evolve. What got you to level 1 won't get you to level 5. Review your system quarterly. What needs upgrading? What's working? What's not? Are your goals changing? Are your sources stale? Is your time management slipping? Adapt. Always. A responsive system thrives. Think about this in a year. If you read 50 books, completed 12 courses, listened to 100 hours of expert interviews, wrote 52 summaries, and taught 10 people what you've learned, how far ahead would you be? How sharp would your mind be? How confident would your decisions be? How unrecognizable would your identity be from today's version? That is not a fantasy. That is the power of a self-education system executed with relentless focus. The world is filled with content, but few people are building systems. That's your edge. That's what puts you in the top 1%. When others consume randomly, you study strategically. When others scroll, you summarize. When others forget, you retain. When others wish, you execute. That's the game, and you're playing it at a level most will never understand. So build the system. Wake up to it. Fall asleep reviewing it. Guard it with your life, because this isn't just about getting smarter. This is about becoming undeniable. This is about building a version of yourself that doesn't need permission, doesn't need direction, and doesn't fear competition. Because you are outlearning them. outthinking them, outmoving them, every single day. That's your new standard now. That's your process. That's your power. Create your self-education system and never stop building. Chapter 8. Learn skills that compound for life. There are skills that make you money once, and there are skills that make you money forever. There are things you learn that fade in value, and there are things you learn that stack power every single day for the rest of your life. Most people waste years chasing quick wins, shortcuts, gimmicks, surface knowledge that looks good on paper but disappears when pressure hits. But if you want to separate yourself, if you want to dominate, not just survive, you've got to learn the skills that compound. The skills that multiply your impact, amplify your value, and scale your freedom, no matter what industry you're in or how the world changes. The reason people stay stuck is because they keep learning what's convenient, not what's critical. They focus on job-specific tasks, not high-return, timeless skills. They become specialists in fragile fields and ignore the foundational weapons that could have made them powerful across any domain. But the top 1%, they're not obsessed with titles. They're obsessed with tools. They ask, what can I learn that no one can take from me? What can I build inside myself that prints results across decades? You want to win? Then stop thinking about trends. Start thinking about skills that live forever, skills that stack, skills that scale, skills that follow you from project to project, from funnel to solution. That's how you build leverage. That's how you stay dangerous. That's how you never become irrelevant. Start with communication. It doesn't matter how smart you are. If you can't express your ideas, you lose. Learn to speak with clarity. Learn to write with force. Learn to persuade, to frame, to present, to pitch. Communication isn't just about sounding good. It's about transmitting power. It's about moving people. Whether you're negotiating, selling, leading, teaching, or creating, communication is the foundation. If you can't get your message across with impact, your intelligence doesn't matter. Learn to speak so people stop and listen. Learn to write so people feel your words. This is a skill that will multiply your value in every arena. Next, sales. If you're scared of selling, you're scared of success. Because no matter what you do in life, you're selling ideas, selling your vision, selling yourself. It's not manipulation, it's clarity plus conviction, the ability to take what you believe and communicate it in a way that gets buy-in, that gets decisions made, that moves people into action. Learn how to close, learn how to overcome objections, learn how to ask the right questions. Sales is not just for business people, it's for winners. You want freedom, learn how to sell. Another one, learning how to learn. This might be the most powerful of all, the skill of acquiring skills faster than anyone else. You see, most people stop learning when they leave school, but the best of the best, they're addicted to adaptation. They can pick up new tech, new systems, faster than their competitors. They don't panic in change. They capitalize on it. They've built learning systems. They know how to break complex topics down. They know how to teach themselves without being spoon-fed. That's a superpower. In a world that changes fast, the fast learner rules. If you can learn quicker than the market shifts, you become unstoppable. Critical thinking, a lost art. Everyone can react. Few people can reflect. Most people accept what they're told. Few know how to ask the questions that cut through the fog. You want to be ahead of the game. Learn how to think, how to analyze, how to see second and third order consequences, how to evaluate trade-offs. In a world flooded with opinions, the person who thinks clearly becomes the person others follow. Learn to slow down. Learn to challenge assumptions. Learn to break things down before you believe or act. That mental edge, it separates leaders from followers. Then comes discipline. Yes, discipline is a skill. You're not born with it. You build it. You develop it. You sharpen it like a blade. And once you do, it changes your life. The ability to show up when you don't feel like it. To delay gratification. To lock in a goal and make decisions that align with it, even when emotions try to pull you off course. That is rare. That is elite. That is the difference between average and undeniable. Discipline compounds. It creates momentum, and momentum creates domination. Learn time management. Not just schedules and checklists. Learn how to prioritize. Learn how to protect your attention. Learn how to say no. Time is the currency of life. You waste it, you die with regrets. You master it, you live with results. The most powerful people on the planet are ruthless with their time. You need to be the same. Every hour you manage well compounds into opportunities, into skills, into leverage. Time is not just something you track. It's something you command. Financial literacy. Most people work their whole lives for money and never learn how it actually works. That's insanity. Learn how to manage money, how to grow it, how to detect it, how to invest it, how to build multiple streams of income. If you don't understand how money flows, how wealth multiplies, how debt works, how to evaluate risk, you will always be at the mercy of others. Financial education is freedom education. And once you have it, you start playing a completely different game. Emotional intelligence. Learn how to regulate yourself. Learn how to read the room. Learn how to lead under pressure. How to stay calm when others panic. How to respond, not react. Emotions drive decisions. Decisions shape destinies. If you're constantly being hijacked by your emotions, you'll sabotage your own path. Learn how to detach, how to pause, how to evaluate, learn how to listen, learn how to manage conflict. This is not soft stuff. This is survival, and mastery in this area multiplies every relationship, every negotiation, every leadership move you make. Another lifelong skill, problem solving. The ability to walk into chaos, look at a complex issue, break it down, find the root cause and fix it. That is leadership. That is what gets you promoted. That's what makes you invaluable. You don't need to be the smartest. You just need to become the person who can see clearly when others freeze. That's a learned skill. It comes from reps, from looking at systems, from understanding process, from not running from problems, but diving into them. They become puzzles you're addicted to solving. Public speaking. People fear it, but leaders live in it. If you can't get in front of a room, own the energy, deliver clarity, and move hearts, you are limited. Learn how to stand tall, speak confidently, and land a message. This one skill opens doors, builds trust, and elevates your authority instantly. Don't run from the stage. Train for it. Most people are scared of the spotlight because they're unprepared. You'll embrace it because you're equipped. Creativity, not art, not decoration. The ability to think in fresh ways, to generate option, to combine old ideas into new solutions. Creativity is innovation. It's strategy. It's problem solving at scale. Learn how to challenge the default. Learn how to ask, what if? And why not? In a world of machines, creativity is the most human skill you can own, and it compounds by making you impossible to replace. Digital literacy. The world runs on tech. You can resist it or you can leverage it. Learn how to build websites. Learn automation. Learn how algorithms work. Learn AI, data analytics, platforms, content. The more you understand the tools of the digital age, the more dangerous you become. You don't need to be a coder. You need to understand how digital systems work so you can use them to scale your goals faster than ever. And let's not forget resilience. Life will punch you hard. No strategy survives the battlefield unless you can take hits and keep moving. Resilience is a skill, the ability to recover fast, to adapt under pressure, to pivot when your plan shatters, to hold the line when it hurts. You train it through hard reps, through mental drills, through building habits that don't depend on mood. Every time you get back up, you build a deeper layer of resilience, and that's what makes the difference long term. Not how often you win, but how often you refuse to quit. The real edge. Stack these skills. Layer them. Sales, writing, emotional intelligence, TET unstoppable. Leadership for financial literacy, for disciplined world-changing. Communication resilience, for digital literacy untouchable. These aren't siloed. They amplify each other. They build synergy. And once you start combining compounding skills, your growth isn't linear anymore. It's exponential. This is how a quiet, focused person who trains in silence can leap past everyone else and dominate entire industries in a few short years. And the best part, these skills follow you everywhere. You don't lose them in a recession. You don't lose them if a job ends. You don't lose them if the algorithm changes. They are yours, inside you. are part of your operating system, and the more you sharpen them, the more the world starts to open up to you. You stop chasing opportunities and start attracting them, because the world doesn't reward the most talented, it rewards the most skilled. So stop chasing distractions. Stop memorizing trivia. Stop wasting your time learning things that die after a season. Focus on the skills that compound. Stack them. Lev them. Because once you do, you become a walking weapon, a mind armed with lifelong leverage, and no one can stop that. Chapter 9. Build unshakable focus and discipline. Nothing will separate you from the crowd more than your ability to focus when everyone else is distracted, and your ability to stay disciplined when everyone else is breaking. Focus and discipline are not personality traits. They are weapons. You forge them, you earn them. You build them day by day, decision by decision. They are not talents you are born with. They are behaviors you commit to regardless of how you feel. Focus is how you lock on to your mission. Discipline is how you keep walking the path, even when everything around you tries to pull you away. And if you want to win in a world that is engineered to make you weak, these two qualities must be carved into your identity like stone. You wake up every day inside a war for your attention. Your phone is fighting to distract you. Your environment is rigged to seduce you. Your friends want your time. The news wants your fear. The algorithm wants your addiction. Every tap, every scroll, every notification is a trap, and most people lose that battle before they even get out of bed. They grab their phones. They fill their minds with noise. They scatter their focus before their feet hit the floor. Then they wonder why their goals are stuck, why their energy feels drained, why their work doesn't move the needle. You cannot build a powerful life with a distracted mind. You cannot create greatness when your focus is fractured. Focus is the ability to say no. No to the unnecessary. No to the urgent but unimportant. No to the noise that pretends to be relevant. It's the power to decide what matters and then ruthlessly protect your energy around that decision. It's not just about removing distractions. It's about organizing your entire life around your top priorities. Focus is not a moment of silence. It's a state of war. You are battling everything that wants to steal your time and divert your path. You can't be passive. You have to be militant. You have to schedule your work with intention. You have to lock out distractions like your future depends on it, because it does. Create boundaries. Block time. Guard it like your life depends on it, because your life, your future, your potential, your impact is being shaped in those blocks of focused time. That's where the magic happens. That's where the books get written, the businesses get built, the bodies get trained, the dreams get executed. Not in the scattered, multitasked, constantly distracted moments. In the locked-in, deeply focused hours. If you don't protect them, they'll disappear. The world will eat your time and never say thank you. But focus alone is not enough. You need discipline. Discipline is what kicks in when motivation dies. Discipline is what holds the line when life gets hard. Discipline is showing up for yourself when every excuse seems valid. It's the ability to keep your word to yourself. Most people can keep promises to others, but they break every single promise they make to themselves. That's why they stay stuck. That's why they live frustrated. Their self-trust is broken, but when you build discipline, you rebuild that trust. You become the kind of person who follows through. Every time. And that changes your entire identity. Discipline is doing the work when you don't feel like it. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. It's not loud. It's quiet. It's gritty. It's uncomfortable. It works. It's what builds the habits that compound into success. It's what allows you to train when it hurts, to study when you're tired, to push when no one is watching. Discipline is the bricklayer of excellence. Every day you practice it, you lay another brick in the foundation of your future. Most people lay a few and quit. You keep building until the world has no choice but to notice the structure you've created. Start small. But start now. Build discipline like a muscle. Pick something you're going to do every single day. Reading, writing, training, planning, executing. Choose one and lock it in. No matter how you feel, no matter how chaotic life gets. You don't skip, you don't debate. You do it. Period. That's how it begins. Discipline isn't built in motivation, it's built in discomfort. It's forged in resistance. When you wake up tired and do it anyway, that's growth. When you're stressed and still follow through, that's growth. When the voice in your head says, "It doesn't matter today," and you do it anyway, that's the shift. Understand this. Your life will reflect your discipline or your distractions. Your bank account, your body, your relationships, your business. It's all a mirror of your self-control. If you want to know where you really are, look at what you tolerate. Look at how you act when no one's watching. Look at how many times you've let yourself off the hook. That's the truth. And the only way to change it is through radical self-respect, through discipline. You don't build an empire on feelings. You build it on principles. You build it on routines. You build it on showing up when it sucks. That's the code of the focused. That's the mindset of the disciplined. You don't let emotions make your decisions. You let your mission decide. Every day you remind yourself why you started. Every day you commit again. Every day you fight the battle between the easy path and the right path, and you choose right. Again and again. Focus and discipline also mean choosing long-term gains over short-term comfort. The reason most people fail is because they can't delay gratification. They want results now. They want comfort now. But that's a child's mindset. Winners play the long game. They sacrifice today for tomorrow. They invest their time. They bank their discipline. And when the rest of the world is burnt out, scattered, and stuck, they're rising, quietly, consistently, unshakably. There will be days when everything tests you, when the alarm goes off and your body screams. Stay in bed, when life throws stress at you from every angle, when people disappoint you, when your energy dips. Those are the days that define you, not the easy ones, not the wins, the grind days, the lonely days, the days you don't want to show up but do anyway, because that's what focus and discipline do. They override your excuses. They take the steering wheel away from your comfort and put it back in the hands of your mission. And here's the truth most won't tell you. There's no finish line. There's no point where you can stop being disciplined, where you can stop focusing. This isn't a season. This is a lifestyle. It's who you become. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. It's about refusing to settle. It's about saying, "I don't care how I feel. I care about what I said I'd do." That's strength. That's uncommon. That's the mindset that gets you paid, respected, remembered. Start engineering your environment to support your focus. Remove distractions physically. Turn off notifications. Clean your space. Limit access to time wasters. The less friction between you and your priorities, the more likely you are to stay locked in. Make it hard to be lazy. Make it easy to win. Build routines that trigger focus automatically. Morning rituals, pre-work rituals, shutdown rituals. Train your mind like a soldier trains for combat. You don't need more motivation. You need more systems. Systems enforce discipline when your mind gets weak. And don't wait to feel ready. Discipline doesn't wait for permission. If you only work when you feel inspired, you'll never be consistent. Champions work through fatigue. They focus through noise. They produce under pressure. And the only way to become that kind of person is to practice. Daily. No breaks, no loopholes, no shortcuts. There will come a day when you wake up and realize you've become a different animal. That your old habits can't live in your new life. That you don't recognize the undisciplined version of yourself anymore. That skipping the work feels foreign. That chaos doesn't shake you. That distractions bounce off you. That your word is law. That your life is results. And it won't come from one breakthrough moment. It will come from thousands of boring, quiet, disciplined days that no one claps for, but that changed everything. Focus and discipline are not optional anymore. They are survival tools in an age of overstimulation and endless choice. They are the difference between a wasted life and a legendary one. You don't get what you want in life. You get what you discipline yourself to earn. You don't become who you could be by hoping. You become that person through focused, daily effort that no one sees but everyone eventually feels. You're not here to be average. You're not here to be easily distracted. You're not here to live and die in the middle. You're here to rise, to lead, to dominate. And that only happens when you make focus your default and discipline your identity. So get clear, get locked in, and never let up. Chapter 20, Turn Knowledge into Execution, is just potential energy rotting in your mind. It's the book you read and forgot, the video you watched and never applied, the strategy you wrote down but never moved on. And this is where most people fail. They know too much and do too little. They spend hours learning, collecting ideas, highlighting quotes, but they never convert any of it into real movement, real transformation, real action. You don't become successful because of what you know. You become successful because of what you do with what you know. Period. You've read the books. You've taken the notes. You've heard the podcasts. You've sat through the seminars. Now what? Now it's time to execute, because no amount of inspiration matters if it's not followed by implementation. This is not about how much you've consumed. It's about how much you've activated, how much of that knowledge is alive in your daily life, how much of it shows up in your behavior, your habits, your results. Information is cheap, execution is rare, and that's why it's valuable. Everyone has access to knowledge now. Google, YouTube, books, courses. You're drowning in information, but information doesn't separate winners from losers. Execution does. The disciplined act, the focused act, the obsessed act. The rest just collect ideas like trophies they never use. Don't be a collector. Be a creator. Take what you've learned and build something with it. Apply it. Move on it. Test it. Let it evolve you. If a book gave you 10 powerful concepts and you don't use even one in the real world, you didn't read. It read you. You're just mentally entertained. And that's not why you came here. You came here to change, to move, to win. So start turning your input into output. The first step is identifying what's useful. Not everything you learn is relevant. Not everything is actionable. You need to filter. You need to filter. What here can be applied directly to my mission, my goals, my daily grind? Don't be seduced by novelty. Be obsessed with utility. What can I use today? What can I apply in this hour? What concept can I turn into a behavior, a conversation, a decision? Once you've identified it, you must simplify it. Complexity kills execution. Break it down. One idea, one action. Don't overwhelm yourself trying to apply 10 things at once. Choose one, laser in, make it a habit. Make it part of your operating system. When that's solid, add the next layer. Stack your skills, stack your behaviors layer by layer. That's how results are built. Create an execution list, not just a to-do list, a list of ideas you've gathered and exactly how you will apply them. Or from this book, I will apply this principle in this way, starting now. You don't wait, you don't overthink, you don't let the excitement fade. You act while it's hot. You take it into your world and build with it. Every idea that lives in your mind but not in your habits is wasted. You know how to lead. Prove it in your team meetings. You know how to sell. Prove it in your numbers. You know how to manage time. Let your calendar reflect that. Knowledge is only real when it's measurable, when it manifests in behavior, when it produces results. Otherwise, a wish, a ghost of potential that never becomes real. Execution means you make your knowledge visible, tangible, real. You take ownership. You say, if I learned this, then I will become this. If you learned mental toughness, show up in your workouts when it hurts. If you learned financial literacy, let your budget reflect it. If you learn time management, your schedule should be a weapon. No excuses, no theory, only mentality. You're not a philosopher. You're a builder. Build with what you've learned. Execution requires urgency. Don't wait for the perfect time. It doesn't exist. Don't wait until you feel ready. You won't. Clarity comes from doing. Confidence comes from reps. You don't get sharper by thinking. You get sharper by moving, failing, adjusting, repeating. Every time you act on an idea, you either win or you learn. Either way, you grow. But if you hesitate, you lose momentum, you lose clarity, you stay stuck in the loop of overthinking and underdoing. Set execution deadlines, not just goals, deadlines. I will apply this concept by Thursday. I will build this funnel by next week. I will make this sales call tomorrow. Make your learning time bound. Give it urgency. Turn it into pressure, because pressure makes it real. Pressure makes it matter. No more vague intentions, only hard deadlines and harder follow-through. Use reflection as a weapon. Weekly, ask yourself, what did I learn this week? What did I do with it? What did I try? What worked? What failed? What's next? Learning without reflection is blind. Execution without adjustment is reckless. You need both. You need to track how your knowledge is translating into behavior and how that behavior is translating into results. This is how you evolve deliberately, consciously, strategically. Stop hiding behind perfectionism. You don't need to master it before you start. You learn faster in the field than in your head. The book won't make you great. Applying it will. The course won't change your life. Using it will. Everyone's waiting to be perfect before they start. That's a lie. Start now. Messy, imperfect, scared, but start. Because motion creates clarity. Action creates competence. You become the person you admire by doing what they do, not by thinking about it. Set rules for yourself. Every time I read something new, I must apply something from it within 24 hours. Build a ritual around it. Learn, extract, apply, repeat. Turn this into your rhythm. Turn this into your mindset. Most people are caught in a consumption loop. You will rise because you build a conversion loop. Input becomes output. Thought becomes behavior. Knowledge becomes power. Surround yourself with doers, not just thinkers. Thinking without action gets praised in school, not in life. In life, execution is king. Build a circle of people who move, who test, who apply, who challenge you when you're over-planning, who push you when you hesitate. Let execution be your culture, your language, your edge, and stop judging yourself by how much you know. Start judging yourself by what you've built with it. Your body, your bank account, your network, your habits. That's your scorecard, not your bookshelf, not your podcast history. Your output is the only evidence that matters. Talk is cheap. Plans are easy. Action is everything. Be brutally honest with yourself. How much of what you've learned in the last 6 months is visible in your behavior today? What habits have you actually locked in? What ideas are you actually living out? How much has your execution increased? Be real, because the gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with one thing: consistent execution of what you already know. There is no such thing as a lack of information anymore. Only a lack of follow-through. Only a lack of courage to move, to act, to fail and try again. You're not stuck because you don't know. You're stuck because you won't do. And once you accept that, everything changes. Because now it's in your hands, now it's on you. Now you're free to act, not wait. Execution is a lifestyle. It's not something you do once in a while. It's who you are. You hear an idea. You apply it. You read a strategy. You test it. You watch a method. You implement it immediately. Not later. Not some day. Now. You live in movement. While the rest of the world is watching content, you're creating outcomes. That's the new standard. That's the new identity. The doer. The executor. The one who turns ideas into results, knowledge into action, words into transformation. That's rare, that's power. That's what separates those who get inspired for a day and those who rise for a lifetime. So don't just learn. Don't just consume. Don't just admire. Build, execute, repeat, and never stop moving.